Hello, and welcome to the National PTA Candidate Speeches and Queries. I'm Tina Hartman, Chair of the National PTA Elections Committee. In the recordings that follow, you will hear speeches and candidate query responses from candidates for National PTA Vice President of Advocacy. The candidates were recorded the weeks of April 26th and May 3rd. This video was edited to place candidates in a random order established prior to the recordings. Candidates were recorded live. No candidate was given the questions in advance, and no candidate was given an opportunity to repeat their speech or query responses. In addition, candidates did not hear other candidates' speeches or query responses during the recording process. During the recording process, members of the Elections Committee acted as timekeepers, and candidates were able to watch a timer as they spoke. Time started when a candidate began to speak, and when time expired, the parliamentarian signaled the candidate to stop speaking. To maintain our policy of impartiality, Kay Cruz, National PTA's parliamentarian, moderated the speeches and queries.
Tracy Pettaway will speak for 3 minutes. Tracy, you may begin.
Hello, I am Dr. Tracy Pettaway, and I would appreciate your vote as the next National PTA Vice President of Advocacy. I have had boots on the ground for over 2 decades as an elementary and middle school teacher, court-appointed special advocate for children, community and schools mentor, social worker, and counselor. I have served as your elected National PTA Board of Director member for 2 consecutive terms while serving on governance, membership, diversity, equity, and inclusion committees. I've advocated for children from the White House, courthouse, schoolhouse, church house, and my house. I've been on Capitol Hill locally and nationally, advocating for children, teachers, families, equality, education, and funding. I am the candidate who can sit with policymakers with expertise related to all things mental health and with a level of influence and experience about family engagement from an educator, counselor, and social worker perspective. I am the candidate who will work with local and state leaders with the mindset of increasing advocacy awareness and ensuring that all families have their voices heard when decisions are being made. I have full knowledge of this position, the importance of relevant, timely, and impactful position statements while reviewing and optimizing resolutions. My role would also include ensuring that all PTA members understand that they are advocates and have the ability to speak up, not only in their school districts, but at every level of government. I will support relevant workshops that emphasize volunteer and leadership development at LegCon in efforts to carry on the legacy started before me. I will work with staff, legislative membership, and DEI committees to find more impactful ways of outreach. I am from the historically marginalized population and community. I benefited from the federal school meal programs. I attended and survived in schools with major infrastructure concerns, but someone told me when I joined PTA that my life mattered. So here I stand humble, but ready on the shoulders of the founders with my eyes focused on the task before me. I am the product of homegrown grassroots advocacy. PTA invested in me as a child, and I'm here to give back a return on the investment. Please vote for Dr. Tracy Pettaway, VP of Advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we will begin your queries. Your first question: how do you define advocacy?
Thank you. Advocacy is that which is required to achieve significant reform in education and success for all children. Advocacy is speaking up, speaking out with clarity, authority, and information. You can't advocate what you're not educated about. So advocacy is speaking up on time, on purpose, and with accuracy. for all involved. Thank you.
Thank you. How would you make advocacy relatable to families and ensure they understand it is not exclusive to legislation?
Yes, ma'am. The first thing I would say, I would roll that back into our strategic plan for 2020. And I would start by building a knowledge base of advancement for family engagement. And you can only do that through creating relevant research-based programs that focus on improving the well-being of the child. And secondly, marketing resources to intentionally address those diverse needs with intentionality. You have to be intentional when you are speaking to people and letting them know, yes, we have federal legislation, and yes, we do have those in federal, Senate, Congress positions, but we are here for the whole child, for their education, and we are here to make sure that everything is provided for them. Thank you.
Thank you. Your next question: how do we get voter voice into every household?
Oh, wow. Voter voice comes from educating. We have to make sure that we reach out through whatever means necessary to reach out to those families to understand not only where to vote, where to get information about those who are in position to run for things. And not only that, but in addition to finding out what do they need to make that happen in their lives based on their current situation. Many people have different things going on in life, and they may have phones, they may have text, they may have email, whatever means necessary to reach those families. We need to make sure that we reach them so that they can get information, so that they can be a voice, because their voice matters. Thank you.
Thank you. And your final question: what is your plan for promoting advocacy at every level of our association?
Well, the first thing I would say, when you are supporting advocacy, you have to have a plan, a roadmap, which is used to guide the association. Without that, you find yourself being reactionary instead of proactive, disjointed rather than connected. So I would say making sure that you have a plan, making sure that you have those FLCs in place. And then for those new ones who are coming in, assigning them to those who've been there to mentor them and to help them in that role. So it all goes back to having a plan and making sure that that plan is something that can be moved into action, and then wait for the return, because the return will be great on a plan that's planned out with intentionality. Thank you.
And thank you. Colin Robinson will speak for 3 minutes. You may begin.
Hi, my name is Colin Robinson. For the last decade, I have dedicated much of my life to PTA. At a local level, at a region level, as a state president, as a member of national committees, and for the last 4 years, as a member representative on the board of directors. It has not been an easy road. There are times when I have lost my focus. I have questioned my purpose and my passion. But consistently, I return. And I am here again asking for your vote to be the Vice President of Advocacy. National PTA and the work that we do is still in line with who I am and who I want to be. I think about what it means to be a representative, speaking on your behalf inside the boardroom. And as your Vice President of Advocacy, I would continue speaking for you inside the boardroom and inside the halls of Congress at the state and national level. To represent you means to listen. More than just listen, it means to hear you. More than just hear you, it means to feel the words that are resonating from your vocal cords. It means I will empathize with what you are saying. It means I will walk a mile in your shoes and I will hand them back to you and I will continue to walk alongside you. Maya Angelou said, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." And I know that each and every one of you has a story to tell. As your Vice President of Advocacy, it will be my purpose, my passion, to hold space so that you can reach inside and find your story. And I will continue to hold that space while you tell it. I will be there with you, alongside you, in your communities, in your school buildings, with your school boards, at the state and the federal level, in the halls of the Capitol buildings. I will be there with you while you tell your story, while you are heard, and while you are listened to. The power of advocacy lies in the stories that we tell, and together we will tell those stories. Thank you.
Thank you. Now for your candidate queries. First, how do you define advocacy?
The stories. I define advocacy in our stories. That's where the power lies. When you can connect with a representative, whether it be inside your community, at your state, or at the federal level, the stories are the things that connect us. Standing up for what we believe in, the things that we feel on the inside, and how we express them. That is the power of advocacy. Doing what's right defines advocacy. It may not be the popular choice, but it's the choice that has to be made to move things forward. That defines advocacy for me. Thank you.
And thank you. Your next query. How would you make advocacy relatable to families and ensure they understand it is not exclusive to legislation?
Can you repeat the question?
Sure. How would you make advocacy relatable to families and ensure that they understand it is not exclusive to legislation?
Advocacy is not exclusive to legislation in any way. It is allowing a local unit, school, mom or dad, aunt, uncle, family member, to walk into the halls of a school and say, my child needs something. They need help. They need help with reading, with math. They might be bullied, whatever that is. Allowing a family member to know that they have the power to go in and talk to an administrator, a teacher, a peer, a coach, whoever it is, anybody who's important in that child's life. When you have a dialogue with them about how you can better the life of that child, that's all outside of legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, how do we get voter voice into every household?
Getting voter voice into every household, I know is tough. We've been lucky enough to use it in the state of Oregon. It's much like anything with advocacy. You have to meet your members where they are. Currently, now, thankfully, more people are online due to work from home, hybrid learning. So the ability to access these things are a bit better, but we can do more. We could have voter voice drives where, as parents come into meetings or events, they are signed up to get those alerts that come out, expressing to them the importance of their membership and their voice as it pertains to voter voice is the best way that we can get it into the hands of all of our members and parents and family members across the country. Thank you.
And thank you. Your final question. What is your plan for promoting advocacy at every level of our association?
Promoting advocacy at every level of our association is something I've already spoken about, and that is helping our local unit leaders and members tell their story. It's when I think about my own journey, I've been really lucky to have been mentored by a lot of great people in this association who have shown me what it looks like to advocate. And it's with those tools that I have received that I want to share. And I want to make sure that every person knows that they can advocate in some way for the betterment of not just their child, but for every child, not just in their school, but across this country. It is so important that we allow members to tell their stories, because that is the power of advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you.